Welcome back to Sports Talk is McHemme. And I'm going to tell you, this segment is probably going to be the toughest segment I've ever done in my life, because when you're following up the living legend, the one and only Errol Cheek, I mean, that's like, you know, who was the quarterback after Joe Namath? You know, who
knows?
Who was the lead singer after David Lee Roth?
Who cares? It was Sammy Hagar, but does it really matter?
It doesn't matter. I mean, you know, you cannot follow the living legend. I mean,
we should just stop right now, Dave.
We should. We should just, we're going to have to just retire from Sports Talk is McHemme. And, you know, you just cannot follow a living legend like that. But we're going to try. We have sponsors that, you know, Rip It Energy Drinks. We want to keep them happy since they've been so nice to help sponsor us and get this show going. You know, so we have to keep it going. But we're going to go in and talk a little bit about NFL football. You know, you're talking about NCAA. They got their playoff series going right now. Well, the NFL, their playoff starts this weekend with the wild card game. On the wild card game on today, we have the first game is Arizona at Carolina, Mike. And you know, if you would have asked me 6 weeks ago, Carolina playing against Arizona, I would have said, you know, first of all, Carolina's not making the playoffs. But they've not only come back to life, but they're actually leading right now in the second quarter, 10-7, Mike.
They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL, Dave. At least the NFC. They went on a nice little run. If you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said probably Atlanta or New Orleans. More than likely New Orleans. But, you know, when you got Cam Newton, you know, anything can happen. The defense has really stepped up. They're on a roll. And I can see them finishing off today's game and, you know, going in next week into Seattle will be a totally different venue, obviously, totally different level that they'll have to raise their game to if they make it. But who knows?
Well, I really do feel that Carolina in today's game is probably going to come out on top. It's just Arizona has had to overcome so much this year, going through 4 different starting quarterbacks, you know, starting with the loss of Carson Palmer, and just so many injuries, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defensive side of the ball, that I think is going to just be too difficult for them to overcome. And I think it's just one of those things. Carolina got hot at the right time of the year. Cam Newton, you know, he has that car accident, and you figure, hey, Carolina's done this year. You know, where are they going to be picking at in the draft? Now they're in the playoffs, and I think they do have a chance to make a run. However, you know, the winner of today's game is going to take on the defending Super Bowl champ, Seattle Seahawks. And to me, Mike, the Super Bowl really runs through Seattle.
In the NFC, definitely. I mean, we have, you know, we've talked at length about the Dallas Cowboys. And to me, right now, hottest team in the NFC. You know, I said just a second ago Carolina was hot. Dallas, you know, all their December woes are well chronicled in recent memory. They averaged 42 points on offense this month. 4-0.
Well, Dallas, and especially, you know, when you talk about the December woes, you got to bring up Tony Romo. And the Dallas Cowboys, of course, they play in tomorrow night's late game. You know, I'm still not 100% sold on the Cowboys. I was really starting to believe in them, but then, of course, they had that swoon in October and November that, you know, after starting out 6-1, where they fell to 6-4, they lost a couple in a row. DeMarco Murray ended up, you know, getting injured, but then, you know, he's come back strong, and it seems like maybe this is the year that Jason Garrett, after 3 consecutive 8-8 seasons, this is going to be the year that Jason Garrett finally is going to bring Dallas back to prominence. But, Mike, I'm still just not completely sold on the Cowboys right now.
Well, you look at their record, and we see a 12-4 team, but we see a 12-4 team that's the number 4 seed in the NFC, you know, which is completely opposite of the AFC, where we had teams with, what was Pittsburgh won their division what day? 11-5?
Yeah, 11-5, and I really think Dallas is going to beat Detroit tomorrow. Detroit, has the talent there, but just doesn't seem to be mentally strong, especially with Sue, with all the crazy stuff that he's got going on. Of course, now he is going to be playing this weekend, but it just always seems like they play like an immature team, Mike.
You never know what's going to come from a Detroit game. But one thing that we can count on Detroit for is that they will not give up, and they've had numerous, almost kind of like the Florida State of the NFL, the way they've come back so many times, and they could easily have missed the playoffs. But, they haven't, and they're there, and they're going to be in Dallas tomorrow night, and it should be a good game. I see Dallas winning. Like I said, they're one of the hottest teams in football right now. But I see Dallas advancing, and it looks like Carolina will be advancing as well. And then we turn our attention to the matchups that would come the following week, which we would see an interesting matchup of Dallas at Green Bay, and then whoever wins this Arizona-Carolina game at Seattle. And as you said, all roads to the Super Bowl run through Seattle, literally, because they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Well, and I think, Mike, too, you mentioned Green Bay. If Dallas does win this week and then Dallas goes to Green Bay, I just can't see Aaron Rodgers losing at home in the playoffs as hot as he's been as a quarterback. I really think it's going to come down to Green Bay and Seattle in the conference final by the time it's all said and done. But, our producer Mike's telling us we need to go take a commercial break, so we're going to step out for a minute, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little AFC football, and of course, my favorite team, as you all know, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll be right back on Sports Talk with McHemme.